Stream that bad boy. Yeah. Check. Check. Exclamation points. Oh, I didn't click the thing. Check. Check. Exclamation points. It worked. All right. That's good to know. I don't need to watch my own playback. I look a little glazed. I'm aware of this fact. I have a new camera that I just purchased. I can actually move this over so that way I don't have to stare at myself off in the corner, because that's a terrible thing. So I'll put it right underneath the camera, so now I look a little less glazed that I'm looking at the camera. But I'm not on anything, yo. This is tobacco, but I have had the flu, and I've got this on standby. I'm trying not to take it so I can do this video. But if I cough too much, I might have to take. I have a shot, not a double, a single on standby. That'll give me like maybe an hour before I have to pass out. So that's just on standby. I'm waiting for my mattress to dry out. You might notice the bucket on my bed behind me because my roof has been leaking. So sick and leaking roof onto the bed. That's a combo right there. But I'm feeling better. I'm in chipper spirits today. I got a lot of things done that I hadn't been able to do because it's been raining. It's supposed to be sunny for 2 weeks, which means no leaky roof for at least 2 weeks. And that sounds good. That'll give me time to come up with a solution for that. Oh, I got to hit the music because we're going to have music this episode. It's going to be very faint in the background, but I'm starting it up now. And to show you what I'm playing, corporate and motivational music 2. It's pop, soundtrack, indie rock. We've got 37 minutes, so if I'm still talking then, I'm running too long. This is on the Free Music Archive. It's by Scott Holmes. If you want to check it out, try to give everybody the proper respects. All right. Attribution, we just did that. Non-commercial license. I don't make a damn thing off these videos. So we're all cool there, man. We don't need to see my website. We're gonna go back to this one. So we're doing the Booktube. I'm almost done with my cigarette too. It helps me not cough, believe it or not. At least for a little bit. All right, I got that, and I got my trusty lemon juice, no coffee. I had coffee earlier, but doing lemon juice instead of coffee because that's healthy. All right, I'm going to put my tobacco tray away. It goes here. All right, now let's get started. Booktube 2018 review. All right. We're going to start off part one. I was going to make things, but that's my thing. Part 1. I'll use that to timestamp it so you can click to the part you want to do. All right, this is books that I've published. Now, there's another book that I published that I don't have a copy of. I was going to order it, but I haven't gotten it yet. This is Fake Tattoos. All right, this is first edition. I published this last year. I just came out with second edition came out today. It's got a different cover. It's a black cover with the same fake tattoo symbol, but it's a little smaller. Check it out. It's on Amazon. All right, publish that. published Love and Hamburgers. All right. That's another book that I published, and it's a romance novella. The other one's a horror. This one's a romance novella series, paranormal romance novella. Rock star and a guy who sees the future. No, rock star and a girl who sees the future. Guy's a rock star, girl sees the future. All right. This one I actually published a while ago, but it's still available. It's the Bear Wife. It's a children's book. It's basically a retelling of the Beauty and the Beast, but in the Native American Seneca Indian tradition. All right. And this is another one. I didn't author this one, but I published this one in this 2018. This is the Rabbit in the Tree. There's a Rabbit in the Tree, and it's by my grandmother, Joan Fontana. It's a children's book. I did through Lulu, so it's a little on the flimsy side. It should hold enough together for a kid, but I think next year I'm going to try and republish it with proper cardboard stock pages, so it's a little more durable. And I also published a romance novel by my friend Jonathan Gilman. I don't have a copy of the book here. Let me pull one up on my screen here. Amazon.com. It's called Captivity. Captivity. Jonathan Gilman. Oop. I misspelled captivity. Here it is. Let me get the... So this is Captivity by Jonathan Gilman, and it's available on Kindle Unlimited if you got that, or $4.99 for paperback. But yeah, I helped him publish this book, and yeah, it's a good first edition. But it's better than my first editions usually are. The Love and Hamburgers, and in fact, all of my books right now are second edition versions if you buy them. So they're up to speed. They're up to about I would say about up to as speed as Captivity as Jonathan Gilman's first edition. He did a bang up job. His wife Pam, who I'm not gonna say her last name because I'll screw it up. I think she still has her maiden name, but she did the editing and she did a great job. Whereas I don't have an editor, I have to edit it myself, and then the second edition is the 18th editing that I've done because I can't afford an editor. But anyway, so those are the books that I've read. Okay. Or those are the books that I published. So now we're number two. These are the books that I am reading. I'm in the middle of reading them as we speak. So there's only one, and it's this one. Stephen King, 11/22/63. I'm about halfway through. It's okay. It's not bad. I mean, I'm enjoying reading it. I could only hope that people are forgiving with me in my language as they are Stephen King. Let's put it to you that way. So many things in this book that I read, I'd be like, oh, someone would yell at me if I wrote a sentence like that. And it's okay. I don't mind. I write that way because that's the books I like to read. I like to read Stephen King. I like to read Douglas Adams. I like to read Philip K. Dick. And so, yeah, my stuff is a little on the rambly side too. So, but for some reason I get yelled at. They're geniuses. I don't know. But anyway, yes, Stephen King is better than me. I'm not claiming he's not, but I'm just saying. All right. So now part three. I'm doing a video. Part three. We have the books I've read. All right. So 2018 books I've read. Sell your book like wildfire. If you are writing a how-to book or a self-help book, this is a great book for marketing your how-to or self-help book. As everyone knows, nothing quite sells as well as self-help books. It's by far the most profitable book genre that's ever existed, because people think if you just read a book, it'll fix all your problems. Well, you want to fix your problems? You want to know the secret to being rich and being a millionaire? Write a self-help book. All right, that's the key. If you write a self-help book, then you will be rich. Even if the advice is terrible, you'll still make a lot of money. So if you want to sell a self-help book, this is a self-help book you should get. And to follow your dreams of selling a self-help book to people. Because this is very, very helpful in that department. In every other department, any other kind of book, forget it. Don't bother. Toss it in the trash. I stole this from the Denver Public Library. I keep meaning to mail it back to them. I don't particularly want it. I'm just lazy. I'm sure the fees are out the roof. I'm sure I've bought it by this time. I almost feel like I'm doing people a service by not having it there, because it's definitely not going to help most people who are interested in reading that book. It does actually give them the chance not to buy it, so maybe I should send it back. I guess I will. I'll send it back. This is also one from the Denver Public Library. Yeah, I actually have 3 of them here. I gotta send these back. I'm gonna send these back. I promise I'm gonna send these back, because I don't need them. They're not helping me. How to become a freelance writer. Second Lives. Written by some professors. It's completely useless. It's so out of date. None of this applies to like anything. Forget it. No good. All right. Guide to Query Letters. This one's actually not bad. And this is my last one from the Denver Public Library, but I'm getting my crap together. It's coming home, Denver, all right? I apologize for having these books so long, but you'll get them back shortly. The Guide to Query Letters. This one's not bad. The main focus is on articles. And I don't think... It depends on who you're sending articles to. If you're going to print magazine, then yeah, you're going to have to send query letters, but your chances of being rejected are very, very high. Even with the best query letter out there, they get tons of submissions. It's probably best just to find like an online submittal and just put your article into a pool and wait for somebody to buy it. And if you're doing if you're doing the query thing for fiction, then you're best off just going to just watch some YouTube videos. Read some articles online. Look for interviews with agents, and read the interview with the agent and see what they have, because every agent in every interview says what they look for in a query letter and how they want it formatted and all that stuff. So you can just look online and find out. You don't really need a guide to query letters, but it's not a bad book if you just want to see a bunch of examples of good query letters. Then you have them. And it also goes into the different genres and what different magazines like what, but it's, you'll figure it out. This book, Return of the Toltec. This is by a friend of mine, Alan K. Lewis, and I didn't help him publish it. He published this all on his own. It's him on the back. So anyway, Return of the Toltec, and it's about a wizard who has a destiny, I guess. He's got to go and bring something to somebody, and I can't remember. I read it like a while ago. But anyway, he ends up getting charge of the King's Guard and meets up with some dwarves and gets they see lizard people, and that's what the book's about. And so there's a lot of time spent at taverns. So yes, if you like that kind of fantasy stuff, that's for you. I have a review of this of Return of the Toltec is on Goodreads. Yeah. So Gardens of Democracy. This is Eric Liu and Nick Hunger, and they're like neoliberals, I guess is the best term for it, but they basically wrote this during the Bush Obama era, and it's about how they think that the conservatives had like a monopoly on the idea of patriotism, and so they have one called True Patriot that comes before this, is not as good. Gardens of Democracy is better. It's still not excellent, but they have some good arguments and tangents that they go off on as well. Big Fish. I don't know where this came from, but I thought there was going to be more circus stuff in it, like the movie, which is why I read it. But there was actually less of that, and it was definitely different. Tim Burton certainly went off in his own direction with the movie, so it's definitely worth the read. The thing that really got me on this was here we go. This is the funniest part of the book right here. Okay, it's on the cover. Okay. This tagline, and you can't see it, but I'm going to read it to you, and it says, "A novel of mythic proportions." Right? Big Fish. This is if you understand publishing at all, this is the funniest thing in the world, because a novel of mythic proportions. Okay, so this book is, look at this. This is like a kid's book. This is like it would be hard for me to take a bet against it being over 40,000 words. Like this thing is a novella for sure, but they don't say novella on there. It's a novel of mythic proportions, and it's all about this guy's father who's a liar, and so that's just hilarious. And for that alone, just if you get that joke and you see that and that you get it, like just the laugh you'll get alone this is worth 5 stars. Easy money, 5 stars on the Big Fish. Choke. Speaking of choke, my cigarette wore off. Choke by Chuck Palahniuk. This is, so far, of the books I've read by Chuck Palahniuk, this is my favorite. I may have said this before. Really like Fight Club. Really like this better. I felt that this didn't quite go far enough. I feel like it was once a lot worse, and maybe in editing it got toned way down, because in the beginning of the chapter, which is the first chapter of this book, is magnificent. it builds up your expectations. It's one of those don't read this book chapters, you know. No sane person would read this book. What kind of person would read this book? And so you know it's got to be good, and it is. It is pretty good. It's not quite as good as it built it up to be. I thought it was going to be a lot more hardcore. That was part of my inspiration in fake tattoos. I was like, well, this is good, but for the promise in the beginning, like this is what I expect to be in a book like that, and that's kind of a lot of the things that went into. I'm gonna move these over somewhere. My desk is full of books. You know, I wanted a book to match those expectations that I got reading that first chapter, and so, yeah. This is another book by a friend of mine that I did not publish. This is, I think, Crec Press. Yeah, Crec, the the Council for Regional Excellence in Education, or something like that. Crec, it's a school. It's a school. So this is looking in. It's a school district, is what it is. It's like big. So this is looking in. This is by Jonathan Gilman. He is a author. He wrote Captivity that I helped publish, that other book that I showed you. And this is his book he wrote before that I got to read. He gave me a copy, and it's very good. It's a fictional narrative set around the events of the theater group he worked with over the course of 25 years. I was part of that for a year of that group. And troupe, I guess it's troupe, not a group. That theater troupe. But looking in, you can look up looking in. It's cool. It's a cool thing. But yeah, he's been the director of that for like 25 years or something like that, and or more. I don't know when it started. 40 years? I have no idea. 60s, started in the 70s. Jonathan was, I was in San Francisco then. But yeah, definitely read it. It's good. I gave it 5 stars. You can read my review on Goodreads. All right, so that's the end of, that was section 3. So we're on section 4. And these are books in my queue that I may or may not read. I am on the fence about it. The first one is, we're going into 2019 now, folks. Yeah? It's all the 2018 stuff. 2019. Actually, yeah. Well, we already started it, so let's go for it. So 2019 books I may or may not read. I'm not sure I have them. I'm thinking about reading them, but I might not. Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. So the Anthony Robbins books are these self-help books, and they're just terrible nonsense. But it makes you feel good about yourself when you read it for some reason. But it's like self-actualization. You know, it's total BS. But even though it's BS, when you read it, you can still believe. I know it's BS, but maybe if I just believe, and you feel like you can believe in something that's completely. If you can believe in something completely as ridiculous as Anthony Robbins' things, then you can believe in anything, and then you can go follow your dreams. So that's what these books are. They're fun if you read them in order, because then you can see how he keeps adding layers and layers and layers onto his BS over the years, and it's really fun. It's a really fun read. You might be slightly brainwashed afterwards. It's slightly zombified. You might find yourself doing things that just don't make any sense to you, but just go with the power. Go with the power of Tony. I think that was fair warning on what that is. All right. Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Look at how huge this thing is. This is gigantic. And the words, they're all pretty big words. And everybody's name is French for some reason. Wow, man. That's 788 pages plus 828. It just keeps going. This is huge. And the font, it's maybe a 10-point font, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to be really up Schitt's Creek if I pull this out and start reading it for reals. But who knows? Maybe I'll have a mega poo one day, and it'll be the only thing around, and I'll read the first chapter, and I'll really like it. That's what happened with this. You know, it happens. It happens. I'm invested now. You know, in Stephen King's book here. Whether I like it or not, I'm along for the ride. Les Miserables might be the same kind of thing. Who knows? Who knows what 2019 brings? All right, here's one. The Book Thief by Marcus Suzak. They made a movie out of it, I think. I don't know what it's about, but if you put book or author or writer or anything along those lines in the title, there's a good chance I'm going to read a couple chapters of it just to see what it's about. There's this thing on Netflix now called You, and I started watching that because I thought it was going to be about a writer. Next thing I know, it's about a poet. I'm like, what poet? That's not a writer. You sucked me in. And now all of a sudden, now I'm watching dudes get killed and stuff, and it's just like, oh, you tricked me, Netflix. All right, this I bought because I thought it was going to be super awesome. Home Sweet Hole. I was super excited to get this. These are fantasy layouts of hillside dwellings. And, hobbit holes, basically. And I thought that, they pitched it as like a floor plan thing, right? And there are a couple layouts, but number one, they're super tiny. They don't give any dimensions at all. Because it's all made up, none of these have actually been built. It gives you some good ideas for some, simple layouts and stuff. But, I mean, they're really no different than an apartment layout. Like, how do you even know this is how do you know this is underground? How is this different than, say, a 2-bedroom apartment? The illustrations on the other pages of the exterior of what it might look like are a little better than the floor plans are. But the worst part of it all is this font. And I don't know if you can see it, but I don't even know what kind of font that is. That's like someone just like downloaded like a Lord of the Rings font or something, and it's just terrible to read. I mean, it looks almost like cursive writing, and I'm dyslexic, so I'm like, I try to read half a paragraph. I'm like, this is way too much effort to read this. So it's written by Lynn Dean, and it's her on the back there. And I like the spirit of it, It didn't cost me much. It was like $5. And so I'm not going to like be a dick and return it or anything, but good for you, Lynn Dean. I hope you live out your dreams of authorship. Probably not going to read that. maybe if I end up doing a video game or something, I might use it as a reference. Speaking of making video games, what? I shelled out a good like $6 plus shipping for this bad boy, and I am very likely to read this, but I can't say for sure because of the material. But I like having it on hand and nearby in case I feel the urge. But this is QBasic Programming for Dummies. If you don't know, QBasic is a version of Quick Basic, and it is essentially a programming, object-oriented programming language for MS-DOS. That's right, because I'm like one of those super nerds that's like, hey, it's 2018. How come nobody's made a DOS game recently? Maybe I should make a DOS game, and then I'll spend like 2 months building this DOS game that I end up giving away for free to everybody because I have no entrepreneurial sense of direction at all. I'm just like, here, have a free game, everybody. So that's my maybes for 2019, and these are my started and may or may not finish pile. Number 5, section 5, group 5, right? Because you got to keep the videos interesting and have animations, but I'm cheap, so no animations. You get a hand. All right, this is the second to last pile, so we got one more after this. This is Philip K. Dick's 4 works from the 1960s. Includes The Man in the High... Philip K. Dick's like, come on, you're a writer, have a cigarette. He's sitting there with his cat. Yeah, my cat died in 2018. It was very, very sad. I cried for a long time. 20 years I had that cat. Yep. So 4 novels of the 1960s. The Man in the High Castle. I read that because I've been meaning to read it ever since Amazon started its TV series thing. And so I read it. Pinion. I love Philip K. Dick, one of my favorite authors. Pinion, though, time. I like the TV show better. And the TV show is pretty damn dry, all right? The TV show is like, first season is like, I sure hope this is going somewhere because it's like pulling teeth. But by the time they get to season 3, you're like, yeah, you figured it out. Good job, Amazon. Novel, not as good. You should still read it anyway. Because one of the things that the novel really does is it makes you, the Man in the High Castle novel, is it makes you feel like you're living in internment. It really gives you that sense, and it's great. It's just it makes you imagine, what if things were a little bit different? What would my life be like? And it does a great job of that. If that's your thing, go for it. But it's slow. It's dry. It's like living somebody else's life. Not all the parts are exciting. And most of the things that are exciting are things that people are talking about that are happening on the other side of the country and not happening in front of you, which is often the case with Philip K. Dick. Ubik. Read that. Ubik is Balls to the Walls, one of the most awesome books I've ever read. It's one of my very, very favorites. I'm not going to tell you about it. You're just going to have to read it. I'm not going to ruin the surprise for you. To take that. And then the other ones I have here is The 3 Stigmatas of Palmer Eldritch and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I haven't read those yet. They're supposed to be very, very good. I'm being very tempted to just listen to the audio book because that's available on YouTube, and I can listen to the audiobook while I'm doing something else, but it wouldn't be writing, and that's the problem. So I don't know, maybe I'll listen to it while I'm playing video games or something. Yeah, I think that'll work. But I probably should read it, see the words with my own eyes. It's important as an author to do that. Audiobooks don't cut it all the time, but if you're in a hurry, audiobooks are good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I could go audiobook or I could read it. Don't know. Homicide in hardcover. This book's by Kate Carlisle. Kate Carlisle. ISB number 978-0-451-22615-0. You can look up her name and figure out how to pronounce it on your own. Homicide in hardcover. It's a mystery series about a bookbinder that is a very good bookbinder, and she binds special books and gets involved in murders all the time. This is the first in the series. It's not my thing. I'm like halfway through. My mom gave it to me so that I could figure out how to write a cozy mystery, because apparently those make money. Like, people really like those. So I was trying to come up with a cozy mystery, and I had my mom. I came up with some characters, and she came up with some characters, and we kind of like spitballed the idea around. We have the idea, and I'm reading this to see how to write one, and it's gonna be work. It's gonna be work to write that bad boy. Let me tell you, it's gonna take some serious concentration and effort, and just have nothing bad at all happening in my life to write that book. But someday I'm going to write that book, and it'll be a good book. And so I'm reading this to learn how to write it. But I'm going to do better than this one, because this one could be better. But I can't blow it out and go Twin Peaks like I always do in all my books. All right, this one's a good one. I recommend this one. This one I pick up and I read a thing every once in a while. At random, the best of the best. 20 years of the year's best science fiction. So these guys who do this book, they do one for every year, and they have collections of short science fiction stories, and they have little prelude things saying who the author is, what magazine they wrote it for, why they wrote it, blah, 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 so on and so forth, why it was an important work. And they do one of these for every year up until at least like the 2000 somethings. I don't know if they still make them, but this one is the best of the best. So it's the best, most important ones out of that whole collection. If you are into science fiction, you should read the best of the best. Muriel of Redwall, part of the Redwall series, book 4 by Brian Jacques. And these are, I guess, they're Christian books. This little Christian girl gifted it to me, and that means that they give stuff away, right, as a way of proving their Christianity or whatever. It's a thing some Christians do. Not all. Depends on what denomination you are. But I know the evangelists do for sure. I don't know what her particular religion is. But it's my friend's daughter. And she was like, I am gifting this to you, because I gave her a copy of The Bear Wife. I was like, here, whenever I go to somebody's house and they have kids, I'm like, here, have a copy of The Bear Wife. You got to share it with your brothers and sisters. And so she gave me this book. She said it was her favorite, and then I should read it. And I started to, but I was hitchhiking at the time, and I had a lot of other things going on, and I wasn't reading a lot of books. So that's in the maybe I'll keep reading it. Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead. I've been trying to get a copy of this for a while. Found it in a small library or whatever they call it, where it's just a bookshelf out in public. Take a book, leave a book. So they had this in there, and I was like, sweet. I've been trying to get a copy for a while. Really liked the movie, and I started reading it, and then I was like, oh God, I can't do the Ayn Rand right now. So maybe I'll read it in 2019. Diary by Chuck Palahniuk. Diary. This is a weird one because it's written from the perspective of a woman, and it's still first person as Chuck Palahniuk. As far as I know, I want to say all of his books are first person, but I don't want to say that for certain. But anyway, there's this whole like mythos behind it that this woman, she was dying and she sent this manuscript to Chuck Palahniuk, and he edited it and turned it into a book and published it for his fan as her last dying wish. That sounds like a lot of bullshit to me, but I don't know. Maybe that did happen. I don't know. But the style is definitely different than his other books, and I think that's partly because he's writing it from the perspective of a woman, but it's certainly him writing it. There's enough of his style and voice there that it's him. So verdict's kind of out on this one. I didn't like this one as much as his other books, but I'm gonna try to read it because, especially now that I'm working on Elise Gone and the Witches, this is kind of, I think, will be the next book that I need to help me with that, which is why I'm reading this one too. So yeah, I guess I'll have to put that next up on the stack. And I have to read the Blackshire Chronicles or whatever they are, by my friend, who's Saint Claire. I'm blanking on her name. I watched her thing earlier. It's right here. It's Regina St. Clair, or R. St. Clair on YouTube. It was coming. I have the flu, which reminds me, I have to wrap this up. My music stopped. I've gone too long. I'm over an hour now, right? Is that what I mean? It's when the Scott Holmes ceases to be, that we've gone over the hour. And so now for the final category of the evening, my go-to, always there, reference guides. This is the most important book that you could ever read if you're at all interested in adding two numbers together or anything more complicated than that. The Joy of X. My dad, he bought this for me because I was a mathematician in college. That's what my official degree is, mathematics. And if only he had bought me this book before I went to college, I wouldn't have had to go to college. Because damn, if not almost, at least for the associate degree part, like the first 2 years, I could skip the first 2 years. You can skip the 2 years of college by reading this little book. And you don't even have to remember it because it's so small. if you ever forget, you can pull out this little book and you can read it. You know what it is? It's like 6 math books without the practice problems in it. It's the greatest book ever. I highly recommend The Joy of X by Stephen Strugatz. The Joy of X. Now, if it's not in the book The Joy of X, then it's in this book. The little book of mathematical principles, theories, and things. So everything that's including actually everything that's in The Joy of X is also in this book, but The Joy of X explains it way, way better. But this also has like everything else too, like in the entire universe, like name a thing. It's like the formula for prime numbers, Goldbach's conjecture, the normal distribution, the laws of motion, the laws of gravity, constructible lengths. I mean, oh look, Kirkman's schoolgirl problem. See, it's got a little appeal in there too. Hilbert's problems, quantum mechanics, whatever it is, whatever formula, you could say, well, you know, how do I build a bridge? How do I fire a particle in a nuclear reactor? It's all in this book, all right? Definitely the little book of mathematical principles. Definitely also a must-have. This one here, MATLAB. I've never read this one, so I don't know if it's good or bad. But I saw it, and I was like, oh. You know, as a mathematician, you think, I know how to use MATLAB. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I do everything by hand. I'm one of those kind of guys. But if I did want to use MATLAB, you know, I also have a degree in programming languages. So if someone says, do you know how to use MATLAB? I'd be like, I could hold this up and say, I will in an hour. Can we pick it up then? You know, so that's why I keep this one by. I hear it makes math really easy, so it'd be worth just playing around with someday. And then this one, Ethics for Modern Life. It's pretty thick. I haven't read this one, but I've skimmed it. It's basically if you want to, if you're writing fiction, like say like the fake tattoos, and you want your guy to sound all smart, then what you do is you take something that everybody says is true and say it's wrong, and you make up reasons why it's wrong. It's a fictional book, so you don't actually have to be right? Because the rules of the fictional universe don't apply to the actual universe, right? They're two different universes. So you can make up your own rules, and it's all good. People will think your guy is really smart, but you just take any of these arguments in this book, anyone that you want, Nietzsche or Kant or whoever, whatever you want to do, whoever you want to say is wrong, and then you take their argument and you read their argument, and then you just say the same argument but in the negative, right? You say, well, you say their argument and you say that can't be right because blah blah blah, because the alien spaceship landed last week and ate the president, or whatever it is that happens in your book. So this is a way for your smart people to sound smarter than they actually are. And dumb people won't know the difference. And smart people will have fun because they'll say, well, that's not true because me. Because smart people love to do that. And they love books where they get to do that. And go on YouTube and be like, well, this character is such an idiot because he does blah, blah, blah. You know, that's fun too. It's all good. So that's it. That's the end of my 2018 review, 2019 preview, Booktube, and I'm very happy to shut this off and have another cigarette, so I don't, because I feel like I need to cough again, and it's a good way to kind of keep it at bay until I take that NyQuil, and then it all comes out. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in tonight to the YouTube live stream. If you did, or if you're watching this pre-recorded, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. I was trying to point at the thing, but it looked like I was giving a thumbs down. Thumbs down on this video, man. This video sucks. No, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe bell. Or hit subscribe, and then ring the bell so you know. Ring that bell. So you know when the next live stream is coming. And good night.